All right, so it's kind of shown something I want to talk about, generational curses or generational karma. So with the generational curse for me was, I don't know if this happened before my birth mother, but what this curse was is that my birth mother was possibly sexually assaulted as a child by a family member or an older man. And it was at a young age, and it put her into a tailspin of just, she was promiscuous. She, was just running on empty, living a life of poverty and a bum and abusive, just like her family was, right? And so, of course, when she has children, then that's going to pass on to the next child, right? Until that child can break it or whatever. So then this went to me, and I have bits and pieces that are starting to come to me about my childhood, but basically sexual assault as a child. So that, of course, carried over into myself because my mother didn't heal that wound. Does that make sense? She's running from it. Her whole life, she's been homeless or promiscuous or never has money. And all of these things that she was holding on to, all this pain and trauma, blocked all of her blessings. But I'm hearing too, like, she dabbled in some dark stuff and she had a lot of karma. So that's kind of why she was always in poverty or negative. But so then this came to me and happened to me as a child. I was sexually abused, possibly trafficked, whatever. And of course, that creates that curse. But then also, if you don't fix that behavior, it can create karma, right? So then this happens to me. I don't fix it. I don't try to correct my issues. I don't try to correct the beliefs that I have because I didn't know that it had happened to me, but it's been guaranteed by my spiritual team that it has happened to me. I do have faces and certain things that I remember where it looks like a lot like pedophilia and shaming children and a molestation of other children in front of me. So I don't know where that goes. But so then I went through life trauma filled, living kind of the way my mother did. Broke all the time. I wasn't promiscuous really. I mean, the rumor went around that I was. I mean, there were times that I would go in and out, but poverty, unhealed trauma, lashing out, just not getting on the right path. So then, because I had a child without healing that carries over. Even though my daughter was adopted, I'm hearing it doesn't matter. It carries into, my child. So then, because I didn't heal that it's the same thing. I was the same mother, kind of, that my mother was. Like, unhealed, not ready to be a mother, not loving, just filled with trauma. And when you have a child and you have dealt with, sexual abuse as a child, this can carry over to you when you become a mother, and it triggers so many aspects of yourself because you're like, and you don't know why. And it's because this happened to you from your mother or to your mother, right? And so sadly, I didn't, obviously know, but then, and the thing of it is, I feel like my mother's was incest, and then I feel like my sexual abuse was incest. It was members of my family. And so then my daughter, of course, ends up with her dad and is incest with her dad and her uncles, possibly. And that's kind of how generational curses happen. These people will come into your life and they are pedophiles, and they will unknowingly know that that's what their calling is because it's a curse, will come in and molest your child because it has to be fixed. So with my daughter now, this curse will carry on to her and her child. So if she doesn't correct this, if she doesn't see the error in what's going on, and the difference with this situation possibly is that my daughter was groomed by her grandmother Margaret and other members of the family because they were an incestual family. They didn't marry or really date on the outside. The mother, what I'm hearing, encouraged keeping it in the family. They're Satan worshipers. They are in a cult, so I don't know if this was carried on from other families that I was in. I mean, I'm hearing that my aunt was a satanic worshiper, so maybe this is a generational thing with cults that deal with Satan. I don't know. But so basically, if my daughter has a child and she does not mend the healing and does not break this curse, and that would be by healing, realizing what happened, try to break this curse by healing, recognizing the trauma, breaking the generational curse, this will happen to her child. And it will be by a member of her family, and it'll be whatever happened to her. So she needs to break that. So that's kind of how curses carry on. And it's also karma. Karma is you're doing something that's outside of the universal law. You're outside of God's law. And so you created karma for your lineage. And so it's a lot of karma is mixed in with that in doing those things, right? And the same things that like even my daughter did to me, she created karma for herself and generational karma, meaning her child will go through everything that she went through, that I went through, my mother went through. And it'll be an unhealed child, it'll be a broken child, and it'll carry on until someone breaks it. My daughter, I feel like, watches this, and so this is kind of a message I wanted her to know about. The other thing I want to say is this. Sometimes on my channel, like if I know she's watching, I get very upset and angry, or sometimes I lash out at her a little bit because, she's not in an innocent mindset right now because she did a lot of bad things. She tried to hurt me. I believe she was responsible for possibly trying to kill me. She stole things from me. She's put stuff in my food. She lied to a lot of people about me and created my life to completely get turned upside down, and she caused me to be homeless. There were a lot of things that she did, but I know, and Spirit reminds me this, even though sometimes I lose it and I get upset and I'll post something and I'll feel bad and I'll take it down. But I know that Spirit's like there's tons of witchcraft being done to her and to me because A, they don't want her talking, and B, they don't want me talking about it. And so the Heil family has been doing the witchcraft like daily. And it makes me sad for my daughter because I was getting hit so bad, and I know how bad it feels. Like, I know you're lifeless, you're not creative anymore. It makes you like have addictions. It creates a lot of things. So with that said, with my daughter, I hope that you hear this message about the curse. And I hope that you break this curse before you have a child, before anything. Once you change your behavior and you create this trauma, you erase this trauma, then it'll break the curse and it won't happen to your child and then their child, okay? Now, here's the other thing that I'm going to tell you, and it's really strange, I know, but Spirit's been trying to push this on me, and it finally hit me. When you are sexually abused, there's a transfer of demonic entities that come from that person into you. This demonic entity transferred from my mother to myself, right? And then to you. And what happened is, even though this is a demonic entity, this entity is actually protecting you. The only problem is that anytime you have a demonic entity, it creates addictions, it creates bad behaviors because it indulges in gross negative things, right? But it's sort of protecting you from the adults in there. So if they're having bad luck around you and things are going downhill for them, that's because this demonic entity is attacking them, and they don't know it because it's protecting you like it did to me. And it left me when I healed and found God. And it's going to eventually leave you once you find God, or you raise your vibration and you get out of the situation and you get out of what you're doing. Having sex with your family members or older men is creating karma for yourself, and it's creating generational curses, and this will affect your child. If you don't believe me, please just ask. This entity will not leave you until it knows you're safe, but it's going to create problems for your life.